Question 1. Which capability ensures Power Pages can integrate seamlessly with other Power Platform components? Select one answer. A. Custom GPT models. B. Standalone AI predictions. C. Built-in governance tools. D. Shared Dataverse Data Foundation. The correct answer is D. Shared Dataverse Data Foundation. Now let me explain. Websites built with Power Pages rely on the same Dataverse data as apps, workflows, and reports. This shared foundation allows them to work together smoothly, like when customer information entered on a website automatically appears in a model-driven app or a Power BI report. On the other hand, custom GPT models are connected to Copilot Studio, not Power Pages. Likewise, standalone AI predictions are a feature of AI Builder, which operates separately from Power Pages. Furthermore, built-in governance tools apply more to managed environments and don't ensure integration at the data level. Therefore, the best option here is Shared Dataverse Data Foundation because it creates a unified layer that connects Power Pages with the rest of the Power Platform ecosystem. Question 2. A real estate agency wants its field agents to use a mobile app to update property listings and log client interactions even when they are offline. Once connectivity is restored, the data should synchronize automatically. Which Dataverse feature supports this scenario? Select one answer. A. Role-based access control. B. Offline functionality with auto-sync. C. Data transformation with Power Query. D. Scheduled synchronization with CRM. The correct answer is B. Offline functionality with auto-sync. Now let me explain. Offline functionality with autosync allows agents to keep working in the app without worrying about losing access when the internet drops. Once they reconnect, the app automatically pushes all their updates back to Dataverse, ensuring nothing is lost. In contrast, role-based access control only manages who can see or edit data, but it doesn't provide offline access. Similarly, data transformation with Power Query helps clean and format imported data, but it doesn't handle real-time or offline synchronization. Finally, scheduled synchronization with CRM automates updates between systems, but isn't designed for mobile agents working without connectivity. Therefore, the most suitable answer is offline functionality with autosync, as it ensures seamless mobile operations for field agents. Question 3. For each statement below, indicate whether it is true or false. Power Platform includes Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, Power Pages, and Dataverse. True. Power Platform lowers barriers to entry, empowering non-technical users. True. Integration with Azure Cognitive Services allows for advanced AI models. True. Power BI replaces Dataverse as the storage layer for customer data. False. Now, let me explain. The first statement is true because these 5 services form the core of the Power Platform, working together as a unified suite. The second statement is also true, since Power Platform is designed to democratize technology, giving even non-technical users the ability to build apps and automate workflows. Moreover, the third statement is true because Azure Cognitive Services extend the platform by enabling advanced AI capabilities like natural language processing and image recognition. However, the final statement is false because Power BI is not a storage solution. It is a visualization tool, whereas Dataverse is the actual data storage layer. This distinction is important because Dataverse holds the data, and Power BI helps users make sense of it through interactive reports and dashboards. Question 4. Fill in the blanks by selecting the correct options from the drop-down menus. For monitoring business performance, Dataverse centralizes departmental data, Power BI visualizes KPIs through dashboards, and Power Automate triggers alerts when metrics deviate from targets. Now let me explain. Dataverse acts as the centralized foundation where all departmental data is stored and managed, making it easier to keep information consistent across the organization. Power BI then takes this data and transforms it into visual dashboards, helping decision-makers track KPIs such as sales growth or customer satisfaction in real time. Furthermore, Power Automate adds intelligence by monitoring thresholds and sending alerts when something goes off track, like when sales dip below a target or service requests pile up. By comparison, Power Apps is focused on building custom applications rather than dashboards, and Power Pages is used for portals, not KPI monitoring. Likewise, Azure IoT Hub integrates IoT devices but does not manage KPI tracking. Therefore, the correct flow is Dataverse, Power BI, and Power Automate working together to support business performance monitoring. Question 5. Which two practices improve the accuracy of Copilot's outputs? Select two answers. A. Providing detailed context about the task or data source. B. Using vague instructions to encourage flexibility. C. Relying solely on the first prompt without refinement. D. Breaking down complex tasks into smaller steps. The correct answers are A. Providing detailed context about the task or data source, and D. Breaking down complex tasks into smaller steps. Now let me explain. Giving Copilot detailed context ensures it fully understands the scope and intent of the task, which reduces confusion and leads to more precise results. At the same time, breaking down complex tasks into smaller, manageable steps allows Copilot to process instructions more effectively, reducing ambiguity and improving overall accuracy. On the other hand, using vague instructions often produces incomplete or generic results that don't meet the user's needs. Likewise, relying solely on the first prompt without refinement misses the chance to improve outputs through iteration, which is a key part of working successfully with Copilot. Therefore, the best strategies are to provide clear context and break tasks into smaller steps for the most reliable outcomes. Question 6. Fill in the blanks by selecting the correct options from the drop-down menus. When connecting to on-premises resources, the gateway encrypts the credentials before storing them in the cloud and decrypts them only when accessing the resource. Now let me explain. The gateway encrypts credentials to make sure they are securely stored in the cloud, preventing unauthorized access to sensitive information. Then, when those credentials are actually needed to connect to a local resource, the gateway decrypts them, ensuring they are only revealed at the moment of use. By comparison, hashing would not be appropriate here, since the process specifically requires encryption and decryption rather than one-way hashing. Likewise, deleting is not the right fit because the credentials are retained securely, not removed. And validating goes beyond the scope here, since the main task of the gateway in this context is encoding and decoding credentials. Therefore, the correct sequence is encrypts before storage and decrypts when accessing resources. Question 7. For each benefit of the plan designer, drag it to its correct description. User-friendly and does not require technical expertise. Simplicity. Automates app, workflow, and data model creation to save time. Efficiency. Lets users adjust and refine solutions to fit needs. Customization. Works for both small teams and larger organizations. Scalability. Now let me explain. Simplicity refers to how the plan designer is intuitive and easy to use, making it accessible for non-technical users who may not have coding experience. Efficiency is about saving time by automating repetitive tasks such as workflow creation and data modeling, which reduces the need for manual setup. Meanwhile, customization allows users to refine and adjust solutions so that they align more closely with business requirements, offering flexibility and adaptability. Finally, scalability ensures that the plan designer works equally well for small groups as well as enterprise-wide solutions, supporting growth and larger workloads. By contrast, Entity Relationship Diagram and Dataverse are not direct benefits, but rather tools and platforms, so they don't fit as correct matches in this case. Question 8. Arrange the steps of creating a solution with the plan designer in the correct order. Describe your business problem in plain language. Provide additional context such as diagrams or screenshots. Generate a tailored solution with apps, tables, and workflows. Refine the solution through feedback. Now let me explain. The process begins with clearly describing your business problem in plain language so the system can understand the goal without confusion. After that, You provide supporting context such as diagrams or screenshots to make requirements more precise. Based on this input, the plan designer generates a tailored solution that includes apps, tables, and workflows designed to fit the business needs. Finally, the solution is refined through feedback, ensuring it evolves to meet expectations and deliver real value in practice. Question 9. For each statement below, indicate whether the answer is true or false. Dataverse tables always consist of rows and columns. True, one-to-many relationships allow a single record to connect to multiple related records. True. Lookup columns cannot be used to reference rows in another table. False. Many-to-many relationships require an intersect table. True. Now let me explain. Dataverse follows a relational model, which means tables are structured using rows and columns, making the first statement true. Likewise, one-to-many relationships allow one record, such as a customer, to be linked with many related records like orders, so that statement is also true. However, the claim that lookup columns cannot reference rows in another table is false, because lookup columns are specifically designed to create those references, like linking an order to a customer record. Finally, many-to-many relationships do require an intersect or bridge table to properly manage connections between multiple records on both sides. So the last statement is true. Question 10. For each feature area in the Power Platform Admin Center, drag the correct item from the item list to the description in the correct match column. View recommendations about your Power Platform implementation. Actions. Manage environments, environment groups, and tenant settings. Manage, measure, and improve operational health metrics of apps and resources. Monitor. Manage ALM workloads and pipelines across the tenant. Deployment. View summaries of license usage and consumption. Licensing. Now let me explain. Actions provide admins with tailored recommendations that improve reliability, security, and overall platform health. Manage refers to configuring environments, groups, and tenant-wide settings, giving administrators control over how resources are structured. Monitor provides visibility into the operational health of apps and resources, helping teams track performance and troubleshoot issues quickly. Deployment relates to managing ALM pipelines, approvals, and system-wide rollouts, streamlining how solutions move from development to production. Finally, licensing allows organizations to track license consumption and ensure compliance with usage requirements. Meanwhile, items like analytics and custom roles are not actual admin center feature areas, so they remain unused in this context. Question 11. Fill in the blanks by selecting the correct options from the drop-down menus. The Power Platform Admin Center provides centralized administration for environments and resources, while the Power Apps Maker portal is used by app makers to build and manage apps, tables, and solutions. Now let me explain. The Power Platform Admin Center serves as the centralized hub where administrators manage environments, tenant settings, and governance tasks across the entire platform. On the other hand, the Power Apps Maker portal is designed specifically for app creators, giving them a workspace to build, customize, and manage apps and Dataverse components. By comparison, the Power BI service is primarily used for creating dashboards and reports, not for managing apps or environments. Likewise, Microsoft Entra ID focuses on identity and access management, not app building or administration within Power Platform. This makes the combination of Power Platform Admin Center and Power Apps Maker portal the correct answer. Question 12. An administrator needs to configure access and ensure workloads run securely in Power Platform. Which feature area of the Admin Center should they use? Select one answer. A. Manage. B. Actions. C. Licensing. D. Security. The correct answer is D. Security. Now let me explain. The security area in the Power Platform Admin Center is dedicated to configuring access controls and applying protection features, ensuring workloads are safeguarded against risks. Manage, on the other hand, focuses on environments, groups, and tenant-level settings rather than security. Actions provides administrators with recommendations for improvement, but does not configure security directly. Licensing tracks usage and consumption, making it relevant for cost management, not workload protection. Therefore, the security feature area is the correct choice for configuring access and ensuring workloads run securely. Question 13. Which two capabilities are available for administrators in the Copilot section of the Power Platform Admin Center? Select two answers. A. Track usage of Copilot features. B. Access educational resources. C. Configure tenant-level firewall rules. D. Assign system administrator roles. The correct answers are A. Track usage of Copilot features, and B. Access educational resources. Now let me explain. Administrators can track usage of Copilot features, which allows them to monitor adoption, measure activity, and understand how the tool is being used across the organization. In addition, they have access to educational resources that provide guidance, best practices, and training materials to help maximize Copilot's effectiveness. However, configuring tenant-level firewall rules does not fall under the Copilot admin section, as that is managed elsewhere. Likewise, assigning system administrator roles is handled through role-based access control and Entra ID, not the Copilot section. Therefore, the key capabilities here are tracking usage and accessing educational resources. Question 14. A company is building a Canvas app in Power Apps. They want to ensure that people with vision or hearing impairments can use it effectively. What overarching principle should guide their design? Select one answer. A. Inclusive design and accessibility. B. Advanced encryption for app data. C. High availability in production. D. Connector isolation through DLP. The correct answer is A. Inclusive design and accessibility. Now let me explain. Inclusive design and accessibility ensure that apps are usable by all individuals, including those with disabilities such as vision or hearing impairments. This means using features like screen reader support, high contrast themes, and captions so that no group of users is excluded. Encryption, while important for data security, does not impact usability. Similarly, high availability focuses on system uptime, but does not address whether people with impairments can actually use the app. Connector isolation through DLP prevents unsafe data flows, which is a governance measure, not an accessibility feature. Therefore, inclusive design and accessibility is the guiding principle that ensures apps are truly usable for everyone. Question 15. A healthcare provider wants to give patients access to appointment scheduling, medical record reviews, and secure messaging with doctors. The provider also wants to reduce staff workload by automating routine inquiries. Which Power Pages use case would best meet these needs? Select one answer. A. Customer portals. B. Partner collaboration sites. C. Employee self-service platforms. D. Internal dashboards. The correct answer is A. Customer portals. Now let me explain. Customer portals allow patients to handle common tasks on their own, such as booking appointments, reviewing medical records, and securely communicating with doctors. This reduces the burden on staff by automating routine requests, improving efficiency for both patients and providers. Partner collaboration sites, however, are designed for external partners like suppliers or contractors, not patients. Employee self-service platforms are focused on HR and internal staff needs, not patient interactions. Internal dashboards are useful for data visualization within the organization, but are not designed as interactive portals for patients. Therefore, customer portals are the best choice to meet these healthcare needs. Question 16. Power Pages integrates seamlessly with other Microsoft Power Platform tools. Which two integrations help organizations automate processes and gain insights? Select two answers. A. Microsoft Teams. B. Power Automate. C. Power BI. D. Microsoft Outlook. The correct answers are B. Power Automate and C. Power BI. Now let me explain. Power Automate integration enables organizations to streamline workflows and automate routine processes directly from Power Pages, reducing manual effort and saving time. At the same time, Power BI integration delivers valuable insights by transforming data into interactive dashboards and reports, allowing better decision-making. Microsoft Teams, while excellent for communication and collaboration, is not emphasized here as a primary integration point with Power Pages. Similarly, Microsoft Outlook manages email and calendar, but is not positioned as a key integration for automating processes or gaining insights. Therefore, Power Automate and Power BI are the two integrations that best support automation and insights with Power Pages. Question 17. For each statement below, indicate whether the answer is true or false. The Power Pages form designer exposes all features of Power Apps forms without restriction. False, forms created in the data workspace can be added directly to web pages. True. The data workspace only shows supported forms and features for portals. True. Forms in Power Pages can also be configured as multi-step forms. True. Now let me explain. The first statement is false because Power Pages only supports a subset of Power Apps form features, meaning not every scripting model or capability is available. The second statement is true, since forms created in the data workspace can indeed be added directly to portal pages for user input. The third statement is also true, as the data workspace intentionally limits options to only those features supported in portals, preventing unsupported elements from being used. Finally, the fourth statement is true because Power Pages allows forms to be configured as multi-step, breaking complex processes into smaller, manageable steps for users. Question 18. For each description, drag the correct styling workspace feature into the correct match column. Update site fonts and button styles for corporate branding. Apply corporate branding. Preview theme changes live while editing. Preview changes. Return a theme to its original settings. Reset to default. Upload CSS for complex styling requirements. Custom CSS. Now let me explain. Apply corporate branding allows makers to align the look and feel of a site with company identity by customizing fonts, colors, and styles. Preview changes shows a live preview of any modifications while editing, so makers can immediately see how updates will look. Reset to default restores a theme to its original settings when needed, making it easy to undo customizations. Finally, custom CSS supports more advanced styling requirements by letting makers upload their own CSS files for precise control. By contrast, navigation management is about organizing site pages, not styling, and the data workspace manages forms and views, not appearance. Therefore, the correct matches focus only on styling features. Question 19. Fill in the blanks by selecting the correct options from the drop-down menus. When using Copilot in Power Pages, administrators must follow responsible AI practices to ensure sensitive data isn't included in AI-generated content and that outputs align with organizational standards. Now let me explain. Copilot is the AI assistant within Power Pages that helps generate content and layouts. To use it effectively and ethically, administrators must follow responsible AI practices, which guide safe and fair use of AI tools. Sensitive data, such as personal or confidential information, should never appear in generated content, ensuring compliance with privacy requirements. Finally, outputs must align with organizational standards so that AI-generated results match company policies and expectations. By contrast, styling rules, navigation menus, and anonymous roles do not relate to AI responsibility, making them incorrect in this context. Question 20. Fill in the blanks by selecting the correct options from the drop-down menus. Power Apps supports connections to more than 1 to 400 connectors, enabling integration with data from multiple sources, such as Dataverse, SharePoint, and SQL Server. Now let me explain. Power Apps provides extensive connectivity by supporting over 1,400 connectors, allowing it to integrate with a wide range of systems and services. This makes it possible to pull in data from multiple sources at the same time, ensuring flexibility for app makers and organizations. For instance, a business could connect to Dataverse for customer data, SharePoint for documents, and SQL Server for transactional records, all within the same app. By contrast, 100 connectors is far too low compared to what the platform actually offers. Likewise, single source would be incorrect since Power Apps is designed to handle multiple sources simultaneously. And Workflow Engine refers to process automation, not data integration. Therefore, the correct answer highlights both the number of connectors and the ability to work with multiple data sources. Question 21. A company needs to digitize hundreds of paper invoices by extracting names, dates, and amounts into their Power App solution. Which control should they use? Select one answer. A. Form processor. B. Text recognizer. C. Object detector. D. Business card reader. The correct answer is A. Form processor. Now let me explain. The form processor control is designed to extract structured fields from documents like invoices and receipts, making it the ideal choice for pulling out names, dates, and amounts automatically. By contrast, the text recognizer can extract plain text, but does not understand structured fields such as amounts or invoice numbers. The object detector identifies and counts physical objects in images, not data within documents. Similarly, the business card reader is specialized for extracting contact information from business cards, not invoices. Therefore, the most accurate option for digitizing invoices is the form processor. Question 22. Fill in the blanks by selecting the correct options. The image control can be used to display items such as a company logo or a logged-in user's picture. Now let me explain. The image control is specifically designed to display visuals, whether they come from files or URLs, making it suitable for branding or personalization needs. A common example is displaying a company logo on an app's homepage to reflect organizational identity. Another practical use is showing the logged-in user's picture, which can personalize dashboards or portals for individual users. By contrast, a text field only displays written input and cannot show visuals, while a checkbox is limited to true or false toggles, and also does not handle images. Therefore, the correct answer is image control for displaying visuals like company logos and user pictures. Question 23. For each statement below, indicate whether it is true or false. Copilot can generate functional apps by interpreting natural language prompts. True. Saving to the cloud is recommended for collaboration. True. Publishing an app is optional. Users automatically see changes after saving. False. Copilot in Studio can apply modifications like changing button colors in bulk. True. Now let me explain. The first statement is true because Copilot can generate Dataverse tables and functional apps simply from natural language prompts, turning ideas into working prototypes quickly. The second statement is also true, since saving to the cloud ensures accessibility for team members, making collaboration much easier. However, the third statement is false because users only see changes after an app is published, not just saved. Finally, the fourth statement is true as Copilot in Studio can handle bulk updates, such as modifying all button colors across an app at once, improving efficiency. Question 24. For each checker tool, drag it to the correct description. Flags formula errors and performance bottlenecks. App checker. Ensures inclusivity with screen readers, keyboard, and color contrast. Accessibility checker. Now let me explain. The app checker identifies syntax errors in formulas and highlights performance issues like delegation limits, helping makers optimize their apps. The accessibility checker, on the other hand, ensures inclusivity by flagging missing labels, poor color contrast, or gaps in keyboard navigation, making apps more usable for everyone. Meanwhile, the device picker is used to preview apps on different devices but does not debug errors, and the orientation switcher changes app preview orientation rather than handling accessibility or performance. Therefore, the correct matches here are app checker and accessibility checker. Question 25. For each statement below, indicate whether the answer is true or false. Charts can be displayed in a view, on a form, or within a dashboard. True. Power BI embedded tiles add business intelligence capabilities to apps. True. App settings include client type and URL configuration. True. All components of logic must be built entirely inside the model-driven app designer. False. Now let me explain. The first statement is true because charts can be inserted across views, forms, and dashboards, offering flexibility in data visualization. The second statement is also true, since embedding Power BI tiles integrates advanced analytics and dashboards directly into apps, adding business intelligence capabilities. The third statement is true as well, given that app settings include both client type and URL configurations to ensure proper setup. However, the final statement is false because not all logic needs to be built inside the model-driven app designer. For example, Power Automate flows can be used to extend logic outside the app itself. Question 26. A real estate company is building a model-driven app. They want to make sure agents follow the right steps during property showings, like staging the property and capturing client details. Which design decision best addresses this requirement? Select one answer. A. Assign each agent a security role that limits their access. B. Define a business process flow that enforces the steps agents must follow. C. Publish the app immediately without adding workflows. D. Use dashboards to visualize property showing activity. The correct answer is B. Define a business process flow that enforces the steps agents must follow. Now, let me explain. Business process flows are specifically designed to guide users through consistent, repeatable steps, ensuring that every agent follows the correct procedure, such as staging the property and recording client data. By contrast, assigning a security role only manages access permissions and doesn't dictate workflow steps. Publishing the app without workflows would make it available but wouldn't enforce any structured process. Likewise, dashboards are useful for visualizing activity, but cannot enforce the steps agents need to follow. Therefore, defining a business process flow is the most effective way to standardize and enforce procedures. Question 27. For each stage of building a model-driven app, drag it to the appropriate purpose. Ensure data is structured to address the business problem. Model business data. Help users update tables and complete work efficiently and accurately. Define business processes. Create the app and select relevant tables and elements. Compose the app. Ensure users access only data relevant to their roles. Configure security roles. Distribute the app. Share the app. Now let me explain. Modeling business data ensures that tables and their relationships are properly structured to support the organization's needs. Defining business processes guides users with consistent steps, ensuring accuracy and efficiency in completing work. Composing the app involves using the designer to select the right tables, forms, views, and dashboards for the solution. Configuring security roles makes sure users only have access to the data appropriate for their role, protecting sensitive information. Finally, sharing the app distributes it to users so it can be used in production. Items like monitor app usage and automate external services can enhance solutions but are not part of these 5 core stages. Question 28. Arrange the following steps in the correct order for creating a form in Power Apps. Sign into Power Apps. Navigate to Solutions and open the desired solution. Select a table and go to the Forms area. Select New Form and choose a form type. Enter a form name and optionally add a description. Use the designer to add columns, components, and layout. Save and publish the form. Now let me explain. The process begins when you sign into Power Apps with your account, then navigate to Solutions and open the one where you want the form created. From there, you select the table and go to the Forms area to start building. The next step is to select New Form and choose the type, whether Main, Quick Create, or Card. After that, you enter a name for the form, along with an optional description to define its purpose. Once the form exists, you use the designer to customize it by adding columns, components, and adjusting the layout. Finally, you save and publish the form so that it becomes available for use in your app. Question 29. Which 2 benefits are outcomes of using Power Apps? Select 2 answers. A. Modernizing workflows. B. Reducing all spreadsheet usage by 100%. C. Solving business challenges. D. Eliminating the need for customer service. The correct answers are A. Modernizing workflows and C. Solving business challenges. Now let me explain. Power Apps helps modernize workflows by replacing outdated manual processes with digital solutions, making operations faster and more efficient. It also solves business challenges by enabling the creation of tailored applications that directly address organizational needs. However, reducing all spreadsheet usage by 100% is not guaranteed, since spreadsheets may still be used in certain contexts. Similarly, eliminating the need for customer service is unrealistic, as Power Apps can enhance processes but cannot remove the function of customer service altogether. Therefore, the two true outcomes are modernizing workflows and solving business challenges. Question 30. Power Apps supports a wide variety of connectors. Approximately how many connection options are available? Select one answer. A. Over 500. B. Over 1,400. C. Over 5,000. D. Exactly 365. The correct answer is B. Over 400. Now let me explain. Power Apps provides more than 1,400 different connectors, allowing organizations to integrate seamlessly with a wide range of external systems and services. Saying over 500 would understate the true number, making it inaccurate. Claiming over 5,000 would be an exaggeration and not correct. Meanwhile, exactly 365 is misleading and not tied to the actual count of available connectors. Therefore, the best approximation is over 400 connectors. Question 31. Which group of controls is considered the most commonly used in Power Apps? Select one answer. A. Basic controls. B. Modern controls. C. Intelligent controls. D. Data and media controls. The correct answer is A. Basic controls. Now let me explain. Basic controls provide core functionality in apps, including buttons, text inputs, sliders, and checkboxes, making them the most frequently used group of controls. Modern controls are important for improving accessibility and theming, but are not classified as the most common. Intelligent controls, while valuable for AI-driven scenarios, are more specialized and less frequently used overall. Data and media controls are useful for connecting to sources or displaying media, but are not explicitly described as the most used. Therefore, the group of controls most commonly used in Power Apps is basic controls. Question 32. Which two steps are part of creating an agent in Power Apps using Agent Builder? Select two answers. A. Sign in and select agents from the navigation pane. B. Manually code the workflow in JavaScript. C. Describe the process or choose a suggestion. D. Enable Copilot in experimental features. The correct answers are A. Sign in and select agents from the navigation pane, and C. Describe the process or choose a suggestion. Now let me explain. To create an agent in Agent Builder, you first sign in and select agents from the navigation pane, which is where the creation process begins. Then, instead of manually coding in JavaScript, you simply describe the process in natural language or pick from available suggestions, making it much more accessible. Manually coding workflows is not required because Agent Builder is designed to work without programming. Similarly, enabling Copilot in experimental features is separate and not necessary for building agents. Therefore, the correct steps involve signing in to select agents, and then describing the process or choosing a suggestion. Question 33. For each statement below, indicate whether the answer is true or false. Process mining relies on real system data to reveal how processes operate. True. Process mining ensures that all workflows exactly match the documented process. False. Power Automate integrates process mining into a low-code environment for accessibility. Process mining can only be used by individuals with advanced technical skills. False. Now let me explain. Process mining uses event data from systems like ERP or CRM to uncover the real flow of business processes. So the first statement is true. However, it does not guarantee that all workflows exactly match the documented process. In fact, it often highlights discrepancies, making the second statement false. The third statement is true because integrating process mining into Power Automate's low-code environment makes it easier for business users to access insights without heavy coding. Finally, the fourth statement is false, since the low-code environment ensures that even those without advanced technical expertise can use process mining effectively. Question 34. A customer success team wants to automatically store feedback collected from a Microsoft Forms survey into a central database for analysis. Which solution should they use? Select one answer. A desktop flow that copies survey answers manually. B, a pre-built Cloudflow template that saves forms responses to Dataverse. C, custom code written in SQL to insert survey results. D, a scheduled Cloudflow that runs every night without collecting real-time data. The correct answer is B, a pre-built Cloudflow template that saves forms responses to Dataverse. Now let me explain. Pre-built Cloudflow templates are designed to automate data capture from Microsoft Forms directly into Dataverse, ensuring that survey results are stored centrally and are immediately ready for analysis. A desktop flow would not be suitable here because it focuses on local automation, not Forms to Dataverse integration. Writing custom SQL code is unnecessary since templates eliminate the need for manual coding. Likewise, a scheduled flow that runs nightly would delay data capture and fail to provide real-time responses. Therefore, the best solution is using a pre-built Cloudflow template to save survey responses to Dataverse automatically. Question 35. For each control in Power Automate, drag it to the correct description in the correct match column. Processes each item in a collection like a list of records. Apply to each. Repeats until a specified condition is met. Do until. Splits flow into yes and no paths. Condition control evaluates a variable to define multiple outcomes. Switch control runs actions simultaneously without waiting for each other. Parallel branching. Now let me explain. Apply to each is used when you need to iterate through a collection. For example, looping through Excel survey responses. Do until continues running until a condition is satisfied or a limit is reached, such as retrying an email until it succeeds. Condition control directs the flow into yes or no paths, allowing different outcomes depending on the result. Switch control goes a step further, letting you evaluate a variable with multiple possible values, like task priority levels. Finally, parallel branching allows multiple actions to run at the same time, which makes workflows more efficient. Approval control and template flow are unrelated here since they are not branching or looping mechanisms. Question 36. Fill in the blanks by selecting the correct options from the drop-down menus. To build a flow with Copilot, you describe your scenario in natural language, then select Generate to let Copilot create the flow. Now let me explain. The word scenario is correct, because Copilot needs a plain language description of the process or task you want to automate. After that, you click Generate, which instructs Copilot to build the flow for you. The other options don't fit here. Condition is a logic control, not a starting point. Delete refers to removing steps, not creating flows. And Execute isn't an option in Copilot for initiating a flow. Question 37. Fill in the blanks by selecting the correct options from the drop-down menus. Before finalizing a flow generated by Copilot, you should review the structure and verify the connections to ensure the flow runs as expected. Now let's go into the explanation. First of all, reviewing the structure is important because it ensures that all the steps in the flow align with the intended process. In other words, it confirms that the logic behind the automation is correct and matches the business need. Next, verifying the connections guarantees that the flow has proper access to the required apps and services. For example, if your flow depends on Outlook or SharePoint, checking connections ensures that those links are still valid and the flow won't break at runtime. Therefore, both structure and connections must be reviewed together. This combination ensures that the flow is not only logically sound, but also functionally reliable in real-world use. Question 38. After using Flow Checker, a developer resolves all listed errors. What should they do next to ensure the flow works as expected? Select one answer. A. Immediately deploy the flow without testing. B. Delete and rebuild the flow from scratch. C. Only run the flow if a warning appears again. D. Test the flow to confirm the issues are resolved. The correct answer is D. Test the flow to confirm the issues are resolved. Now let's go through the explanation so it makes sense. Testing the flow is the right step because after fixing errors, you must validate that the flow actually works as intended. If you skip testing and deploy immediately, as in option A, you risk pushing failures into production. Rebuilding the flow from scratch, option B, is unnecessary because the errors are already resolved. And only running the flow when a warning appears, option C, is not enough because warnings don't guarantee success. For example, imagine you fix errors in a leave request automation. If you deploy without testing, employees may face failed submissions in real time. But by testing first, you can confirm that each step runs smoothly before it reaches end users. That's why the safest and most effective choice is to test the flow to confirm the issues are resolved. Question 39. Which scenario is most appropriate for static result testing? Select one answer. A. You want to verify the color scheme of the Power Automate designer. B. A flow step requires approval from an external system that takes hours to complete. C. You are renaming a connector for organizational purposes. D. You want to deploy a flow directly without testing. The correct answer is B. A flow step requires approval from an external system that takes hours to complete. Now, let's move on to the explanation so this becomes clearer. Static result testing is most useful when waiting for real outcomes would take too long. For example, if a flow requires approval from an external system that takes hours to respond, static testing can simulate the result instantly. On the other hand, verifying the color scheme of the designer, option A, has nothing to do with testing flow behavior. Similarly, renaming a connector, option C, is just an organizational task and does not require testing outputs. Finally, deploying a flow without testing, option D, completely bypasses validation, which is risky and incorrect. So the best situation for static result testing is when you need to handle delays, like an external approval that takes hours out, while still being able to validate how the flow responds. Question 40. For each statement below, indicate whether the answer is true or false. Copilot can explain what actions and subflows within a flow are doing. True. Copilot can analyze Cloudflow run history using natural language queries. True. Run-only permissions must be configured before Copilot can analyze flow runs. False. Copilot helps identify performance trends and optimization opportunities. True. Now let's move into the explanation so you can clearly understand why these answers are correct. Copilot can describe what each action and subflow is doing, which makes it easier for users to troubleshoot and maintain flows. In addition, it can analyze run history by allowing you to ask natural language questions like, how many flows failed yesterday, making analysis more intuitive. On the other hand, run-only permissions are unrelated here, since they only control who can trigger a flow instantly, not whether Copilot can analyze it. Finally, Copilot is also helpful in identifying performance patterns and optimization opportunities, which means it doesn't just explain, but also helps improve efficiency.